This house in Snohomish, Washington is listed at $769,000, and I'm going to be talking about how you might be able to afford this house as a family with modest income. The area median income in Snohomish County is $137,300. So let's say you're right around there and you're ready to buy a more spacious home for your family, but finding it challenging with prices where they're at in the area and rates at or close to 7%. I'll show you a tool to get a lower interest rate in order to make this place more affordable, and I'll show you what your monthly payment might look like on this place. My name is Landon Buteau, and I'm a mortgage advisor and a loan officer based in Bothell, Washington with Cleveland Street Mortgage, and we love working with new clients. If you want to reach out, info is in the description. So let's look at this quote here. You can see I have two different quotes here, and I want to get you a sense of what your monthly payment might look like. And you can see two different payments here, $42.99 and $46.92, and that's your monthly payment. So I'm going to look at how we came up with those real quick. So let's pull that up. So we have those two different quotes, and I'm going to look at the numbers that we're using to create those quotes and talk about why the numbers are different between the two. So this first one. These numbers are for both of the quotes, and then I'll talk about what's different between them. So these are the assumptions I'm making coming into the loan. So taxes on the house are $5,118 annually, and you can grab those if you scroll down on Zillow. They have taxes listed there, and then if you want a little bit just to double check the accuracy, because sometimes it's not 100% on Zillow, they have a link to the county website. So grab those from there, $5,118 annually. Homeowners insurance, I'm assuming $175 a month or $2,100 annually for this price point for that area. That's a pretty good estimate, but that could be a range depending on what you have covered and who your provider is. Credit, I'm assuming $740. And then I'm assuming you are not a first-time home buyer. At this price point, you could be, of course, but sometimes you can get better pricing with being a first-time home buyer. So I'm going to assume you are not. And then if you end up being a first-time home buyer and these numbers apply to you, obviously the pricing will just maybe look a little bit better. But I'm going to assume you are not a first-time home buyer. And then with that assumption, I'm also assuming that you have some cash available. I'm gonna assume you are selling a home, and let's say you plan to net somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000 from the sale of that house. So coming into this, and maybe you have some savings. We're gonna say coming into this purchase, you have about $250,000 available in cash to put into the deal, all in closing costs, down payment, everything. And so if you have more than that, obviously then you just put more towards the down payment. The principles I'm going to talk about still apply, but then you can just put more towards the down payment. It'll end up being a smaller monthly payment. So then let's look at these two quotes. Again, you have one on the left here of $42.99, one on the right here of $46.92. That is a difference of about almost $400 there. So how do we end up with these two different monthly payments? So the reason we have those two quotes is I created one using a scenario where you're paying points, and those show up down here in the quote, $10,594 in points or credit, whereas here it's just $690. But the reason we did that is because let's say you want to come in and you don't feel comfortable taking on a monthly payment over a certain amount. You just want to try and minimize that monthly payment. What resources do you have available? So I want to illustrate that. And then you can see also, actually it doesn't show up here, but what I actually did is in this scenario, the purchase price on the left where you are paying points, the purchase price is a little bit above list. It's $780,000 was the purchase price I was using, and over here it's $770,000, which is right about at list. And so maybe you're gonna have to make an offer above that. This is not about what offer would win that, but I just want to show you what your monthly payment would be in this area and a difference that points can make. So here you're paying $10,000 in points, but you're also paying above list. So the scenario I'm envisioning here is you come in and you want to end up with a lower monthly payment, but you still want to make a reasonable offer. So you come in and you ask the seller to pay maybe $10,000 in points, $10,000 seller credit towards closing costs to help you buy down the rate. But in order to offset that so that it's not a super low offer, you also offer above list. You increase the purchase price to $780, $10,000 above list, and then on the right you're actually offering at list and then zero in points. So even though there's a lower purchase price here on the right, you ended up with the higher monthly payment here. Real quick, I'm going to talk about why you might do that, what you need to consider. But let's just look at the specifics of these two quotes. On the 780 scenario where you are paying points, the P&I portion of your monthly payment, and again it's $42.99. The P&I principal and interest portion is $36.98 each month, and then the rest is just taxes and insurance. Those are the same in both scenarios, $427 and $175 in both scenarios. And then on the right, the principal and interest is $4,090. So what that ends up meaning at the bottom here, then you've got to factor in typical closing costs, and what that ends up meaning is in the 770 purchase scenario where you have no points, you're about $200,000 all in estimated cash to close, whereas it's $218. So that's, if you can bring in anything from the sale of your house and then whatever savings you have to contribute to the purchase as well. And again, if you can bump that up, you're just going to end up in a little bit lower monthly payment as well. So why would you do these points? Why would you pay points? Is that something that you should consider? Pros, cons. Basically, it's something that you need to evaluate as an option, is what is this lower interest rate worth? Because you can see here, when we did pay points, we ended up with 6.5% to make that monthly payment more manageable, down to $4,300, whereas you have a 7.5% rate when you didn't pay points. And so you can bump it down a whole 1% right now with these 1,100 in points. And when you're evaluating whether it's worth paying points, it's not just a general principle you can answer with the same answer all the time, because points are priced differently at different times. Sometimes if, for example, lenders think you're going to refinance in the near future, they don't think they're going to be suffering from that lower interest rate for a long term. So they think you're going to refinance in the near future. Meaning they think rates are probably going to come down. They will make paying points a little bit cheaper. Whereas on the other hand, if they think you're going to have that rate for a really long time because rates are probably going up, they're not going to get lower than where you are, you're probably not going to refinance, points will be a little bit more expensive. So the best thing to do is to quantify it and compare how long would it take for these points to pay off. How long would it take for this investment to pay off? So let's look at that. Okay, so here are the two scenarios. Here's the 770, and sorry, I think these are flipped from how they were set up on the quote. 770 is on the left, 780 is on the right. 780 we paid 10.5K in points, and 770 no points. Okay, so it's a higher purchase price, and you paid some in points. Whereas over here, we didn't pay any, and it's a lower purchase price. But we ended up with a 6.5% rate versus the 7.5% rate with no points. And so here's the resulting monthly payments we just saw. So let's compare that and say, okay, I'm investing up front. I'm paying $10,000 up front for a lower interest rate. What's that going to mean on a monthly basis? The difference was about $393 a month. And in order for that investment to pay off, it's going to take 27 months. You can see here about 2.25 years to break even on that investment. And then just if you wanted to think, okay, worst case scenario, what if I refinanced, let's say in 6 months, like really quickly, we got into the house and we paid all this to get a lower rate, but 6 months later, we are already refinancing and no longer benefiting from paying for that rate. I just wanted to illustrate how much you would end up saving. So basically, you make $23.52 of that back, of that $10,500 investment. You make that back in 6 months. So you actually start to make it back fairly quickly. A lot of times this number could be more like 5 or 10 years. So right now, just kind of the way the market's priced and things are looking, you make that back fairly quickly, and it's worthwhile considering. But the flip side of that is, okay, the lenders price it that way because they think rates are coming back down. So there's a chance, do you want to bet on that? You can't have 100% bet on the fact that rates are coming down. So you don't want to lock into an interest rate that you're really not comfortable with, or a monthly payment that you're really not comfortable with, on the bet that rates are coming back down in the near future. You can't do that. But if you have the flexibility to take that little bit higher monthly payment and just keep an eye out for a time to refinance, that's worth considering. But on the flip side of that, if it only takes 2.25 years to break even here, that's a pretty good break even right there, because you might be in that interest rate for a while, and it's just worth thinking through what's that worth to you. But it's helpful to know that if you just can't afford that higher monthly payment and you're looking at your options and you're just not willing to do that, maybe you can structure the offer, the purchase, the loan in a way that you can get, whether it's seller credit or you're just the one paying points. Maybe you can structure the deal in a way that you've significantly bought the rate down to the point where it's a little bit more comfortable for you and your family. If you're wanting to learn more about the home buying process and see what options are out there for you, see what you can qualify for, my name is Landon Buteau, and our team is licensed in Washington and Idaho, and we'd love to answer questions over the phone, email, text, whatever. Our information is in the description here. And if you just want to know what it would be like to work with us as a team, there's a link to a video you can watch to see what our team process is like, and what it would be like to get a loan with us.